you think the implementation of CA will affect BJP's chances in Assam?
Okay, CAA. No, I don't think so. I think CAA has been welcomed. It's a promise made by none less than Mahatma Gandhi to this country. Whether it's Mahatma Gandhi or it's Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel or even Manmohan Singh.
Do you think at this point the Congress poses any threat to BJP?
No, I'm afraid not.
Do you think any party poses any threat to BJP?
See, as of now, the way things are, all the parties have gotten together. Well, they tried to get together, not even that. Either by themselves or together, they can't beat BJP. So it's not I'm who's saying it, it's their actions.
My next guest is the co-founder of the Aam Aadmi Party, along with Arvind Kejriwal and Manish Sisodia. In 2014, she left the Aam Aadmi Party and joined BJP. In 2021, she was appointed the national spokesperson of the Bharatiya Janata Party. Today, GPlus speaks to Shazia Ilmi of the BJP, and she shows us, and her entire conversation tells us, that the BJP is not worried about the 400 mark in the upcoming elections. They don't think the farmer protests had an impact in the elections. CA is not going to be a deterrent. There is no opposition to contest. And Arvind Kejriwal's arrest is something that he had coming to him. I would request you to stick to the end of the episode to find out all the questions that we've asked, or use the annotations below and scroll to the most important questions that you think needed answers.
ठीक है मैम, वेलकम टू द शो. थैंक यू सो मच, आपने हमको टाइम दिया.
Thank you so much.
Is this your maiden visit in Guwahati?
Not really, no. I've been here a few times before.
Let's talk about your Guwahati and Assam connection. How long does it go back? When was the last time you came here?
So I came in first as a correspondent. I was with Star Network. And before that, even before that, when I was in Z News, there was something going on and they actually assigned me Guwahati. So I did come to Guwahati because I was assigned to be here. And then I came here again when I was in Star Network. That was before Anna Hazare Andolan. And then when I was a co-founder of Aam Aadmi Party, then I was the one who was sent to Assam to start the Aam Aadmi Party chapter here.
Right.
And yes, and that was then, and then many, many times after that. So it's probably my 10th visit or something.
Okay, perfect. Now that we have got the soft conversation and the soft question out of the way, I want to ask you something more real. Let's talk about the season which is in play, the election and the political season.
Yes.
It looks evident that BJP works on a lot of optics, large numbers, bade number, bade elan, ab ki baar 400 par. Do you think 400 par is going to happen?
Yes, absolutely. I'm absolutely convinced. You know, when Modi ji won the first time, people predicted it. When he won the second time over with better numbers, who could imagine that? I mean, 303 was a number nobody could predict for NDA. And again, there are naysayers, but I'm sure कि अब की बार 400 पार.
ठीक है. वैसे, if I ask you, give me three reasons why do you think BJP can do 400 plus?
I can give you more than 3 reasons, but because you're asking for 3 reasons, I think it's the faith and credibility of Prime Minister. You know, when they say Modi ki guarantee, there is something to it. The kind of great changes and the transformation that you're witnessing. I mean, look at Guwahati itself. This is my 10th visit. And from the 1st, 2nd, 3rd to the 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th visit, there is such a huge change. I mean, I can go on and on. There is so much to talk about. You know, until 2014, there were 74 airports.
Right.
In the last 10 years, there's 75 new.
Ji.
So look at the record of the first 60 years and then the last 10 years.
So
it's huge.
Absolutely understand the point. Now, I am aware that you moved from AAP. You were in the founding body of AAP.
Yes.
Jab AAP
I was one of the co-founders of Aam Aadmi Party.
Bilkul. So, from your transition from a journalist to moving into AAP and then BJP and then becoming the spokesperson in 2021, How do you see the ideology and the functioning internally different between AAP and BJP? What makes them different or what makes them more successful at this point? BJP की ऐसी क्या political strategy है inside or the functioning which is making them so successful?
So BJP is a very committed party. They have believed in a few things. Whether there were two or whether they're 303, there is a basic philosophy and an idea which they stick to. There is complete consistency. They don't mince their words. Ram Temple was a big sankalp or a commitment. It's happened. Of course, they believe in the constitution and rule of law, so they waited for it to come through the Supreme Court judgment, and it happened. They believed in uniform civil code. We are working towards it. They believed in removing of Article 370 when nobody could imagine it. So they're totally consistent. Now contrasted with my old party, which I helped found along with Kejriwal, Sisodia and others, they have just flip-flopped on everything. Starting from Lokpal, starting from Swaraj, starting from Mohalla Sabhas, starting from the idea of using caste as a plank or not. So I think they flip-flopped on everything. There is not a single policy point that they adhere to. So हमारे यहाँ कहते हैं ना, गंगा गए गंगा दास, जमुना गए जमुना दास. तो वो हैं केजरीवाल जी. कुछ भी कह सकते हैं कभी भी. अब तो योगेंद्र यादव नहीं रहे और उनको भी और प्रशांत भूषण को वो literally thrown out, beaten up and thrown out, which you can check. So he had a very interesting word for Kejriwal ji. He used to say, I used to tie a rakhi by the way to Arvind bhai, but now I call him Kejriwal ji. He used to say Arvind is a presentist, and this is my experience with Arvind bhai also, that वो कुछ भी बोल देंगे. यहाँ बैठेंगे जैसे हम लोग ओखला में हैं, which is a constituency, prominent Muslim-dominated area, neighborhood of New Delhi, which I'm sure you're aware of. वहाँ पे बात करने लगेंगे बटला हाउस इनकाउंटर की, फिर जाएंगे किसी और एरिया में, वहाँ पे उसके अगेंस्ट बात करने लगेंगे. है ना, गंगा गए गंगा दास, जमुना गए जमुना दास. जहाँ पे सूट करता है मैं तो बनिया हूँ, जहाँ पे सूट करता है जैसे गुजरात में लक्ष्मी के का पिक्चर होना चाहिए, माँ लक्ष्मी का पिक्चर होना चाहिए करेंसी नोट्स में, तो उनका ये सब चलता रहता है. सो देयर इज नो कंसिस्टेंसी. बीजेपी स्टैंड्स बाय व्हाट इट सेज. इट्स वेरी कमिटेड.
The BJP has been accused of hijacking democratic institutions like the ED, like the CBI, like the income tax department, the arrest of Kejriwal ji, the arrest of Hemant Soren, the freezing of political funding of the Congress. All of this are all seen as possible moves by the BJP. Do you think this affects BJP's chances in the elections?
No, so let me answer each one of them. Okay? You mentioned freezing of accounts. So rules are the same for everybody. 2018 to 2019, the taxes or the income tax was not paid. So there was 303 crores. And when you look at what was accrued along with interest, that was 385 crores. So the income tax department has every right to question it, flag it, remind them, and on non-compliance, they have every right to freeze that part or that account. And they have every right to do so. As for Kejriwal ji, I mean, please follow my Twitter, Shazia Ilmi, I've written there. It was not the BJP which asked Arvind Kejriwal to start the excise policy. It was not BJP which asked Arvind Kejriwal to tweak it and meet the South Group and K. Kavita and confabulate a new policy where the wholesalers and retailers would be given a huge chance to profiteer. The profit margin would go up from 6% to 12%. The blacklisted companies would be a part of it. The retailers would have a 185% increase in terms of their commission. So and there would be a loss to the exchequer.
Right.
So I don't think BJP asked Arvind Kejriwal to do it. So when you do something like that, you should be, and I think it's very good that our agencies are active and they should do it, and they're doing it.
But so you're very confident that this does not affect BJP at all in any system. Everything is all right. जो अपना काम कर रहा है, department अपना काम कर रहा है.
Yes.
All right, ठीक है. Do you think the implementation of CA will affect BJP's chances in Assam?
Okay, CA. No, I don't think so. I think CA has been welcomed. It's a promise made by none less than Mahatma Gandhi to this country. whether it's Mahatma Gandhi or it's Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel or even Manmohan Singh, they've all talked about the persecuted minorities in Pakistan, Bangladesh and Afghanistan to find refuge here. They did not choose to be taken away and kept out of India. This was a demand for partition that led them to become minorities in the culture and a country and a territory, which was always theirs. So, and look at the percentage, from 23% when you become 2%.
So when you talk about you're talking about granting citizenship to Sikhs and giving them refugee ko accept karna. I understand. But Assam is not ready to accept. There is protests that have broken out again in Upper Assam. यहाँ में preventive barricades लगाए within the city today. When you are in the city, you will see preventive barricades.
So a lot of rumor mongering and misinformation goes out. Do you remember there was a big protest in which they managed to galvanize a whole lot of Muslim women, men, and make them believe that it impacted them. So it does not impact any Indian citizen, Muslim, Sikh or otherwise. Another bit of rumor mongering that is going on. Now this is applicable to those people who are already living in India, who have been here from 31st December 2014. It is just to fast track that. So it's not that new people are suddenly coming over. It is just to fast track citizenship for those who are already here. They've already been part of this country and they have already been given that refuge. It's not that Muslims have been refused. There are so many Muslims. There are more than 500 Muslims who have got this status if you apply. There are laws for that. But CA is particularly for the persecuted minorities in these three countries. To have them come to India to avoid religious persecution. Persecution on religious lines. That's what it is.
Do you think Manipur will affect BJP's chances in the northeast?
Not at all. Even if you see the last elections, BJP has not at all fared badly. It's done very well, in fact. And I think when you politicize every issue and just not see the real intent of what your party is doing and confuse judicial decisions and politicize them only because of vote bank politics, it's very unfair.
Do you think Sonam Wangchuk's fast for Ladakh is going to affect BJP?
Everybody has a right to protest in this country and to fast. And I think he is within his democratic rights to fast and to flag an opinion. Whether it's against the center or state government, whether it's one party or the other, every Indian citizen has a right to protest. And I totally stand by it. I myself I've come out of Nirbhaya Andolan, Anna Hazare Andolan. So I respect that.
Do you think the Kisan Protest is going to affect BJP's chances in the elections?
Not at all. Not at all. I mean, people have seen through the movement even earlier. So, and if there's one party which has done so much for the farmers, if you actually read up on it, whether it's the Swaminathan Commission recommendations, and a party that has actually done what all other parties and former governments promised. So you realize that this is one government which has done maximum for the farmers and continues to be committed. So I don't think it's going to impact BJP's chances whatsoever in the forthcoming elections.
Do you think the electoral bond data that has been revealed, that affects BJP's chances?
No, not at all. If you see the electoral bonds, you see that every party has been a beneficiary. So if the Congress party's complaint is that, oh, we got less than you, I mean, why did you accept more than 1,000 crores? After all, BJP has 303 seats. So if half the electoral bonds, if you look at the entire figure, and you realize that BJP, which has 303 seats, has got almost 40 to 50% of the bonds, which was then constitutional, before it was struck as unconstitutional, it's totally fair. Earlier what used to happen, there were cash deposits, there was no money trail, there was no forensic evidence, the money would be sent to the Swiss banks. Here this is State Bank of India, passed by the Constitution, with data available to Election Commission, and the money stays within the country, and it's also being given by check. So this was a way to better the system. But we also respect what the Supreme Court is saying. We will never go against the Supreme Court, and we welcome everything the Supreme Court says. and we'll follow the guidance of Supreme Court. We will not start challenging the Supreme Court and saying, oh, it's another institution that is victimizing us. It's one of those things that if the Supreme Court feels this way, we abide by that. Whether it's Election Commission, I mean, if we lose in Himachal like we did, we accepted it. In Punjab or in Delhi. Karnataka, exactly. And it's not that the margins in Himachal, it was very small, the percentage. But we accepted it. We wouldn't blame it. So whatever the, whatever the institutions are, whether it's the EC, Supreme Court, High Courts of this country, Sessions Courts, we have to have faith in the system.
Do you think at this point the Congress poses any threat to BJP?
No, I'm afraid not.
Do you think any party poses any threat to BJP?
See, as of now, the way things are, all the parties have gotten together. Well, they tried to get together, not even that. They did not even succeed in getting together. So they even tried to be unified against BJP. So the very fact that all the parties wanted to huddle together, make a coalition, is an indication of the fact that they know that either by themselves or together, they can't beat BJP. So it's not I'm who's saying it. It's their actions and their fear which got them to come together. Even the warring factions, even parties that would not see each other eye to eye, even parties that were basic challenges of each other decided to come together. So that just goes on to show this, that the power of and the credibility of power of BJP, faith in BJP, and the credibility of a Prime Minister.
Now I would like to speak to you, the journalist in you. When we were practicing journalism, it was always encouraged to have a healthy opposition because that is what builds a wonderful democracy. Today, the way as it stands, BJP has literally not left any opposition. और जो opposition में खड़ा है, उसको अपना बना लिया है, अपने तरीकों से. So, with that being said, do you think the journalist in you, do you feel democracy at threat?
The journalist in me believes that people's mandate rules. We live in a democracy. It's people who decide who they want to vote for. That's one. And it is not the responsibility of BJP to work on a healthy opposition or a robust opposition. If it is up to the different parties to stand up to the challenge of BJP. The other parties have ruled for so many years. BJP started with 2 seats and has come this far. So BJP has been in power in this such a long run only for 10 years. Before that, there was Vajpayee's government. All throughout, it has been the other parties. So how come these questions were not asked 10 years before? That you have not let any other party be there? How come Congress party managed to rule for so many years? So the same question applies to them. People believe in BJP now. People believed in Congress then. But BJP has never changed their philosophy, has never changed its manifesto. Unlike Congress, which used to say, na jaat pe na paat pe, muhar lagegi haath pe. Now they're talking about OBC status. I mean, it's quite hilarious, the flip-flops that have been done. And even on electoral bonds, a question you asked, when they were finally came through, when the idea was there were enough people donating to the Congress party. Why did they not refuse even the 1,000 crores that they have? Why did TMC not say no? Now suddenly it's terrible. Then say no to those 1,000 crores. Now the problem is we got only 1,000. They got 6,000. I mean, there is no excuse. There is no explanation.
I understand.
It's hilarious.
As we try to quickly wrap up the conversation, ma'am,
Yes.
I have a small complaint-like question. It may sound like a complaint.
Please.
I have a small question.
Please,
though.
it's a free country. Be tough. Sabse tough sawal pucho.
The BJP is always keen on discussing the mandir and the masjid and India, Pakistan and Kashmir. Why is it always talking about these love jihad-like matters and does not talk about real issues like crime, corruption, population, or joblessness? Why is this not a focused agenda?
So, I first of all, I would like to be very polite and say I completely disagree with you. For so many years, and I've been a journalist, the entire politics of Congress Party, Samajwadi Party, RJD was about caste identity, religious identity. whether it's Hamid Ansari or Kamal Nath, it was about Muslim vote banks. Whether it was Shah Bano case, Rajiv Gandhi's time, it was always about using Muslims at vote banks. So they actually started this whole communal politics, disguising it in the form of secularism. So, and you know, so it's, I don't think, I think BJP has always been consistent on Ram Mandir. Since we were two members, there were two-member party in the parliament. And BJP believes this, that there is a term Prime Minister uses. One is Tushtikaran and the other is Santushtikaran. So when the central welfare schemes, and you realize that Muslims in India are 14%, but if you see the beneficiaries, let's say, of Awas Yojana, housing scheme, the most beneficiaries are Muslims, 40%. That means that 40% of central welfare schemes in terms of housing are Muslims. So far more to the population. That just goes on to show how poor Muslims have been. And that is all thanks to so-called secular politics. So this absolutely infamous, false, bigoted form of secularism has hurt the Muslim community the most. If you look at the dropout rate of Muslim girls and the literacy levels, you realize that it has gone up significantly more in Modi ji's time. If you see the scholarships given to minority, it has been far higher than before. If you see something like Jan Dhan Yojana, in which there are 50 crore Indians who have come in, you realize so many of them are Muslims. If you look at Ujjwala Yojana, the beneficiaries are almost 30%. So I don't understand that. So while other parties just talked about protecting Muslims, it is BJP with its good governance and its welfareism that has reached out to the very poor. It has not gone out of its way to help Muslims, but because Muslims were left so economically weak, socially backward, deliberately by the so-called secular parties, that the weakest sections have benefited, and they happen to be Muslims. So in fact, we have to applaud the Modi government and BJP government of coming to the rescue of the poorest sections of the society, rendered poor because of the fake secularism, implemented and carried on and bandied around by these parties. So I really, and I say it as an Indian, and I say it as a Muslim. Shame on these parties. You know, I come from Chamanganj, Kanpur. It's a Muslim area. A neighborhood which has, I think, more than 90% people as Muslims. You know, a family driver who's there, Chand Sahab, we call him. Chand Sahab, you know what he told me? I said, has anything changed for you? You've had so many parties in power. You've had Mayawati in UP. Then you had Akhilesh. Before that, you had Mulayam Singh Yadav. Now you have Yogi. He says, nahi, बिटिया कुछ बदला तो नहीं है पर ये ज़रूर है कि मेरे पास एक जनधन का कार्ड है. He was so proud to show the bank card. He says, I never had access. There is Rais, this very sweet person who's there, and you know, he comes from a very conservative area near Jaunpur, associated with a family. So I said, oh, I know you will vote for Sapa. You don't care for my politics. You always make fun of me, Rais bhai. आप तो मजाक उड़ाएंगे, कहेंगे अब मैं गलत रास्ते पे चल पड़ी हूँ. You know what Rais bhai told me? He says, शाजिया बाजी, मैं आपसे बात ज़रूर कहना चाहता हूँ कि पहली बार हमारी अम्मी ने कहा है, हमारा जो लोकल मस्जिद है वहाँ खुतबे होते हैं, एक सर्मन होते हैं, वहाँ पे तो कहा गया समाजवादी पार्टी को 2 वोट, और हमने हमेशा दिया है. लेकिन अम्मी ने हमसे कहा, and can you imagine his mother saying this? अम्मी ने हमसे कहा, देखो कोविड के वक्त पर हमें अनाज मिला है इस सरकार से, तो जिसने हमें अनाज दिया है ना, हम उसको वोट देंगे. ठीक है. And you know, it's these are real examples. ठीक है, ठीक. So ये good deed you believe is going to be carried forward for the BJP in the coming elections. Yes, right? I think at the end of it, whether you're a Hindu or a Muslim, you want security, you want access to best health services, better schools. Correct. You know, if your economy is doing well, you benefit. बिल्कुल. शाजिया जी, मोदी जी press conference नहीं देते is an established fact. Over the past 10 years, he's not done press conferences. It is only that he does strategic and tactical interviews to people who are, let's say, fawning over him. Why has he avoided this? Do you think you would be... No, I think he's very much there in the public eye. All that he believes in is very transparent. I mean, I remember being a part of a team, and I've been a journalist for several years. So Manmohan ji giving interviews to a few people with a few favorites there. I don't know what that actually meant and how transparent it was. So whether it's Man Ki Baat, so Prime Minister connects with people directly. And a few editors here and there who are disgruntled, who are part of Lutyens Delhi, part of the leftist network. Because they don't have access, because they don't go for private junkets, because Prime Minister doesn't take them on Air India One when he goes all over, and they don't enjoy the powers of being a journalist and the perks, so they complained. Prime Minister speaks regularly to people of India through Man Ki Baat.
Which is a one-way communication.
No, a
man.
lot
बात
of
तो
people.
ये वो
No, Prime Minister is actually very, very active. If you write to Prime Minister, and if you've seen it many times, for the first time we've seen that there is a PMO which is active, which responds to people, and there are ministers in every department who exceed. So we all translate that vision of the Prime Minister.
You formerly worked with Arvind Kejriwal. How do you feel about the arrest? Do you have an emotion to it? Do you think it's happy, sad?
Yeah, I do have an emotion to it. So I was one of the first ones to join the Anna movement. And it was my candidature along with Manish Sisodia's that was first announced by Arvind Kejriwal way back when Aam Aadmi Party was founded after Anna Hazare movement. So I know the insides of Aam Aadmi Party. And when I left in 2014, and I joined BJP 1 year later, and I didn't I didn't ask for a ticket. So it was just, if I had to associate with the party, it would have been the BJP. So I waited for a whole year. What I saw within the party is all coming to light right now. At that point of time, nobody would believe it. So I really wanted this man, Kejriwal, because of whom, not just me, but many people like me gave up on everything. And we contributed. कहते हैं ना, मन तन धन से परिश्रम किया, आपने मेहनत की, आप बाहर गए. हम लोग से तो अरविंद केजरीवाल कहते थे चंदा लो फल वालों से, रिक्शे वालों से. तो जो बेवकूफ़ बनाया ना, तो वो एहसास बहुत ही एक ज़ख्म की तरह है. तो मुझे लगता है मैं बहुत ही I am very relieved that is caught up with him. I can't say I'm happy because it just makes me realize how foolish I was, how idealistic we were. So I do realize that, that it was long pending, and finally all his misdeeds have caught up. And the asliyat जो है उसकी ना, वो लोग देख रहे हैं. क्योंकि मुझे तो दिखता था क्या हो रहा पार्टी के अंदर, चंदे के साथ किस तरह से टिकट दिए जाते थे, क्या क्या खेल होते थे, किस तरह से पुराने वफादारों के साथ सलूक होता था. लेकिन अब दुनिया को दिख रहा है, तो मैं बड़ी खुश हूँ इसको लेकर. कम से कम सच्चाई जो शख्स की है, जिसने बेवकूफ़ बना रखा था सबको, वो तो सामने आई. और वही शख्स जो कहता था निकलो बाहर मकानों से, जंग लड़ो बेईमानों से, भ्रष्टाचार के इल्ज़ाम अगर लगेंगे भी तो फ़ौरन हट जाना चाहिए. उस शख्स को देखिए, बाकायदा एक्साइज पॉलिसी देखिए किस तरह से नुकसान हुआ है रेवेन्यू का. और उस शख्स को देखिए, अब लोग सड़कों पे निकल रहे हैं भ्रष्टाचार को प्रोटेक्ट करने के लिए. they were anti corruption when I was there. Now that I'm out of it is pro corruption.
Now,
so
I have two questions. I'll interrupt you on that, ma'am. एक तो आपने कांग्रेस की बात कही. कांग्रेस भी एक अपने दौर से गुजरा when it was about 60 years in power. They had their own corruption, which is what led to their downfall, ultimate downfall.
Yes.
AAP is now where you said कि Arvind Kejriwal's भ्रष्टाचार has caught up to him.
Yes.
Do you think there are skeletons in BJP's closet that will at one point catch up to them?
I'm sure there's skeletons in everybody's lives, in every party, every organization. So I really can't make that claim that there are no skeletons, that there's no wrongdoing at all. I'm sure there must be a whole lot of things that must not be perfect. But as of now, today, it is this party with its leadership that is providing a positive direction to the country, to the poor, to the youth. Imagine a concept like this. I mean, could you imagine? I used to read economics, and I did very well in eco. That was my subject. I was in economics, my ICSE, ISC topper. And you will not believe it, but we used to talk about developed economies, developing economies, underdeveloped economies. Imagine having this idea, and Prime Ministers enrolled all of India into it. Viksit Bharat, a developed nation. and the pride that we all have in being Indians. So I think just the whole idea that a person inspires you, instills a positive energy and says, yes, you can do it. You're not less than anyone else. Go out there. Reach for the stars. Indians are perfectly capable. So I think whether look at a foreign policy, I mean, just look at it.
Right.
Look how we are. So I am very proud of that. You know, I'm very proud to have Modi ji as my leader. And even our cabinet, I mean, you just look at Nirmala ji.
Ji.
You look at Smriti Irani. They are such brilliant. A defense minister, Nirmala ji has been, finance minister. And you know, look at the whole idea. I mean, there are lots of people who also have from dynasties in our party. But look at a prime minister and look at all the presidents of BJP party. They've all had humble origins. They've all come through the ranks. They've all worked very, very hard to be there. They've always been people's people. They believed in the idea of Antodaya, of Deen Dayal Upadhyay ji, a Vicharak, a philosopher, and Shyama Prasad Mukherjee. And they unified by the same vision. It is not like कि गांधी परिवार का ही होगा वही चलाएगा. अखिलेश यादव का मुलायम सिंह होंगे, फिर अखिलेश होंगे तो वही चलाएंगे. ममता बनर्जी होंगी तो उनके भतीजे साहब चलाएंगे.
नहीं, डायनेस्टी पॉलिटिक्स के खिलाफ है वो मैं समझ गया. आपने विमेन की बात की तो मेरा एक आखिरी सवाल है, उसके बाद हम रैप अप कर सकते हैं मैम. इट इज़ गुड दैट अंडर द बीजेपी द वुमेन रिजर्वेशन बिल वाज पास्ड. ठीक है, इट हैज़ नॉट कम इनटू इफेक्ट येट बट इट हैज़ बीन पास्ड. एंड येट टुडे इन Assam, of 11 seats, only one female candidate has been given a ticket to contest the election. What does that say? Do you think that continues? That will continue the underrepresentation of women in politics?
So personally, I feel that all the parties, including mine, I will not mince words, should give more tickets to women. I think women have proven their capability and merit, and I think. I'm committed to the idea that more and more women should be there, represent the parliament, represent the Vidhan Sabhas, be in political positions of leadership. I think that's so important to have them as role models for India's Nari Shakti. So I do wish there were more tickets given to women.
As we wrap up the interview, असम में आप आई, आप 10 बार आ चुके हैं, 10-15 बार आ चुके हैं. आई वॉन्ट टू नो द फॉन्डेस्ट मेमोरी दैट यू विल टेक बैक टुडे.
Just spending time on the river. Every time I come, I make sure. I mean, Brahmaputra speaks to me. It is glorious. In Kanpur, I was by the Ganges. But you know, I have a very special bond with this river. मैं कामाख्या मंदिर भी गई हूँ, मैं जो मुझे खुशी मिलती है बस सिर्फ देखकर. अभी तो लो एब है, ज़्यादा नहीं दिख रहा है, लेकिन there's a fury and energy and dynamism in that river. It calls out to you. It's like an ocean. So the vastness of it is overwhelming. So it stays with me. Every time I think of Guwahati, it comes to my mind. So it's just something to me.
Perfect. ठीक है. All right. Thank you so much for your time. You've been a wonderful guest. I really appreciate it.
And you've been a great host.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much.